Good morning, Max. Oh, yeah, good morning, sweeties. You don't seem like your usual sparkling self today. I'm always like this before I go in front of an audience. I'm working up to it. Tee-hee.
Don't get nervous, Maxie. Here, have a glass of milk.
That's a whole-ass bottle, brother. Well, not a bottle, you know what I mean. Regina. How fabulous, my sweetie pie princess, you sick freak. You came to watch my performance today?
Of course I did. Mo told me that I should come and watch this.
Mo said that?
So what kind of performance will you put on today? Let me guess, you'll fly at the end?
It's not that kind of show, isn't that right, my sweeties?
Huh?
I think my sweetie pie princess doesn't... Yeah, she doesn't seem to realize what's going on, or even where she is, which makes it even worse. It's bad enough with her age, but then it's also like she's very oblivious for her age as well, which is just even worse.
Well, Max, it looks like it's time to raise the curtain. I'll see you later. Today I'm just a member of the audience.
Fabulous. Enjoy yourself out there.
Good luck, Max. You're the best.
Regina's different, don't you think, Nick? No?
Top of the morning to ya. Everybody, let's get ready to get stuck in legal limbo. How low can you go?
Mo.
Top of the morning to you, governor.
Top of the morning.
That's the ticket. Attack in the day starts with energy in the morning. The early bird gets the worm, but then again, worms lack higher brain function. Here, Max, I brought you a present. Have some milk.
Oh my, thanks.
So how are you today, Wright?
Well, I've got the feeling that today I'm gonna face off against the real culprit.
You mean Acro?
Huh? You think he did it? That was extremely forthright, wasn't it?
Be careful. He's used to putting his life on the line, literally. He's got guts to spare.
If all I've got to worry about is how thin the tightrope is, I'm used to it already. It just means I won't be able to press him like I can other witnesses. What are you gonna do then, Nick? I guess today we'll just have to do without our usual psychological warfare. That's an incredibly... exaggerated way to describe what you do, Phoenix. Usually you just ask a bunch of stupid questions until one sticks. Today we rely on evidence. It's the only way we'll get past Acro and to the truth. You're right, but it's gonna be tough.
Anyways, I want you to make sure that Regina sees it all today. It's important. Then she'll finally have to deal with the reality of what happened to her father.
You want us to make sure Regina watches?
Yes, that's why I brought her here to court today.
What's that supposed to mean?
She needs to know that when people die, they don't just become stars. I may be an old-fashioned clown, but I don't believe in people becoming stars.
Why does it matter if that's what she believes or not? Like, that's fine. As long as she also knows the person is, like, dead, does it really matter what she thinks happens to them after that point?
Court is now in session for the trial of Maximilian Galactica.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor.
Very well, Miss Von Karma, you may proceed with your case.
The prosecution would like to revise its previous theory of events.
What's the meaning of this?
We have discovered a new witness, or shall I say, a new eyewitness. One saw Maximilian Galactica fly off from the scene of the crime.
Order, order. I had a feeling something like this would come up.
Due to this revision, we are now prepared to explain how the defendant flew that night. An explanation the prosecution will present as if the need so arises. In fact, my detective stayed up all night creating a mock-up of the scene on my orders. Poor Gumshoe. You know, this is like a terrible case, but surprisingly enough, the anime version of this case is actually not terrible. It's actually kind of fun. Time to get to work, or should I say, time to walk the courtroom tightrope. Name and occupation? Ken Dingling, but everyone calls me Acro. I'm employed as an acrobat at the Very Big Circus. Where were you at the night of the crime? I was in my room that night. If you look at the map, you will see the witness's room is near the crime scene. My room's on the 3rd floor. The crime scene is below my window. The night of the crime, the witness saw something quite shocking. Would you like to tell us what you witnessed? Okay. It was just after 10 p.m. and I was resting in my bed. Around that time I heard a loud thump noise from outside the window. Then, a few moments later, I saw someone flying right by my window. It was Max Galactica. I only saw him from behind, but that's who it looked like. To be honest, when I saw that, I thought I was dreaming. I know he said to rely on evidence, but I have no idea what you would present on that one, really. I skipped over it, whatever, it's fine. There is very little the prosecution may need to add. All that's left is to explain how the defendant disappeared into the sky that night. Before we get that far, I'd like to cross-examine the witness. A foolish choice by a foolish fool who wishes to feel the foolish sadness of a sad fool. A man must know the proper timing for things, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Just like your old friend, Mr. Wiles, Edgeworth did.
Mr. Wright, do you have a problem with the witness's testimony?
In the words of Miss Von Karma, may I quote yesterday's proceedings? There's no way that actually happened.
Very well, you may proceed with your cross-examination.
And I will immediately start pressing. None of that was, like, obviously wrong. You said that you were resting in bed. One would thus assume that you'd turn the lights off in your room, correct? That's correct. But there are safety lights around the outside of the lodging house. It's so bright sometimes it can make it hard to sleep.
If that's the case, wouldn't it be a good idea to close the curtains?
I never really thought of that. I guess that means I'm off to buy some curtains.
Sometimes I do make myself useful in these chambers. Ow!
The witness will proceed with his testimony. Your room is on the 3rd floor, right? Yes. And you said that you were resting in bed. That's correct. But you were still able to hear a sound from outside? I was indeed. Pressing acro doesn't seem to get results. Maybe there's something contradictory in what he said just now. In what he just said? I don't know. I mean, all he really said was he heard a noise. Is it really feasible to dispute that on the evidence we have? Probably not. Oh, time of death, maybe? That's like a little after, though, still, isn't it? Because he says a little after 10, you know? Well, I guess that's the previous one, never mind. Are you sure it was a human being? It could have been a mannequin, or perhaps a large action figure. Well, setting aside the possibility of a mannequin, an action figure is plausible. You have no need to mince words with Mr. Phoenix, Wright? Testify to the truth and only the truth, just as if we were there with you that night. I believe it was a human. Damn, I just strengthened his testimony. There's nothing really wrong with that one, is there? The light in your room was turned off then, right? That's true. I was going to bed after all. So with the lights off, you were still able to clearly see a human fly by your window? The safety lights lit things up enough for me to see, but honestly, there was only enough light for me to see the silhouette outside my window. It was the person's back, so I couldn't see the white roses on the front.
Did you see any of the other symbols?
I clearly saw the silk hat, as well as the coat wrapped around his body. I'm convinced that the person I saw was Max Galactica. The more I press him, the less results I seem to get. We didn't establish anything else with that, did we? No, yes, we have the hat. We have the hat. There's a huge contradiction with the testimony that was just given. If there's a contradiction, then prove it with evidence. We still have the hat, so he can't have flown away with the hat. You claim to have seen the exact same thing Mo saw that night. Do you stand by that? What do you mean? The silk hat. What about the silk hat? I saw it on Max's head as he flew by my window. Well, you should have tried looking down out of your window that night. That would have been quite difficult considering the state that I'm in. Just looking outside of the window was a tough enough challenge for me. That's a shame, because you would have noticed the silk hat found on the crime scene. That's the ringmaster's hat, right? Afraid not. No matter how you look at it, this is Max's silk hat.
Where are you going with this, Mr. Wright? Are you saying Max has 2 silk hats?
No. This is a handmade, one-of-a-kind model made only for Maximilian Galactica. Which means, Acro, that you've been fibbing on the stand. That's how you're gonna do it? That's what you're gonna say?
Order, order.
As always, it looks like someone just had to open their mouth before thinking. Are you okay, Nick? Well, I opened my big mouth and now I have to back it up.
How about it, Mr. Wright? What would cause this witness to commit perjury in this court today?
Do you think I throw it right at him? Maybe we'll start a little slower. Perhaps it's because Acro has a grudge against the defendant, which is why he's trying to frame Max.
Ow, why me? What did I do?
Never get your fat head in the way of a whip bent on finding justice. Mr. Phoenix Wright, I have no interest in your silly little theories. He has a grudge against the defendant, huh? You wouldn't happen to have proof of that. Well, that's the thing.
Mr. Wright, thanks to you, I've got my head lashed by Miss Von Karma's whip. I don't like getting hit for you, so how about you answer with an explanation?
Okay. I guess we'll slam it on him right now. Your Honor, on this occasion, the defense accuses Acro himself. On this occasion?
Accuses Acro? What in the world are you accusing him of?
Obviously, we accuse him of the murder of Mr. Russell Berry.
Mr. Wright, are you serious?
Deadly serious, Your Honor. I think your trips to the circus have served you well. You seem to have learned how to try and grab an audience's hearts and minds. Your Honor, don't allow yourself to be swayed by theatrics. Trying to wow the crowd with smoke and mirrors is the oldest bluff in the book.
Oh, really?
If you don't believe me, just look at the witness. He's calm enough for it to be almost scary. He is staying rather calm and collected.
Mr. Dingaling, do you have any response to the defense's accusation?
I don't really need to say a thing, do I?
What do you mean?
Everyone, take a good look at me. I can't even stand up by myself, let alone leave the lodging house.
That's true.
I understand that Mr. Wright is just trying to help his client. But to do this by accusing me of murder of all things... See, even a slither of common sense makes it clear the accusation is ludicrous.
She's right, way to pick on the disabled, you heartless, cruel man. Phoenix is a poopy head.
See that, Mr. Phoenix Wright? If you're trying to drum up support from the peanut gallery, that's how you do it. I think that's enough of this little game. I've got a doctor's note to confirm Acro is unable to stand under his own power. Maybe the defense is planning on making a claim to counter this as well. I can hear the defense now. Acro had an accomplice.
What do you say about this, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Did Acro have an accomplice?
No. Now then, this must be when we get to hear the name of... Not this time, Von Karma. What? You're not going to sucker me into this one.
What are you blabbering about, Mr. Wright?
There was no accomplice. Acro planned and committed this murder all by himself.
Order, order. What are you getting at?
Way to keep them on their toes, Nick. Now I'm gonna have to prove how it all fits together. I have to show how Acro murdered Russell Berry. Can you do it, Nick? Can you really do that? I know what I can't do. I can't stop now. If I stop attacking, I'm doomed. Alright, then let's do it. Mr. Phoenix Wright. If this witness is the killer, then his eyewitness account is all lies, right?
Mr. Wright, I'd like you to clear something up for me. When the crime was committed, exactly where was Mr. Dingling?
In his room, of course. He was obviously here the entire time.
Well, that's Acro's room?
Pretty simple, eh? Acro wasn't able to leave the lodging house by himself. In that case, there can only be one correct answer. Acro didn't leave his room to kill the ringmaster. What? Are you nuts?
What say you, Mr. Dingling?
It's an interesting theory. That's it? Considering that what you propose is impossible, yes, that's it.
Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
As the witness has stated, your assertion is impossible. As he is in a wheelchair, there's no way he could go to the scene or be the killer.
You've got a point. It seems you've forgotten once again, Mr. Phoenix Wright. The defendant was clearly spotted at the scene of the crime. That's true. Mo said he saw Max, didn't he? But Maya, it's still impossible for humans to fly. Do you mind if I ask you a question, Mr. Wright? What is it? I understand some of your logic. However, how do you think that I killed him? If I can't leave my room, I obviously couldn't wear Max's costume. How did he do it? That's the next course of this legal buffet. Be careful, Nick. If you mess up here, she's right. I can't mess up here. I've got to give this one serious thought. I'm sure Acro killed the ringmaster. And he did it while he was in his room. No doubt about it.
Time to enlighten us. Time to enlighten us as to how Mr. Dingling committed the crime.
Present evidence. I'm going to present some evidence.
So what did Mr. Dingling use to commit the crime of murder?
He used Max's bust.
What's that, a picture?
It is indeed. The problem is with the item that's shown in the picture.
The bust?
It's quite a large bust, and because it's life-sized, it's also very, very heavy. Heavy. Heavy enough to guarantee a certain death. Especially if it was dropped from a third-story window. Ah! See? This is how Acro was able to kill the ringmaster. With the force of gravity and Maximilian Galactica's ample bust.
Order. So you're saying the bust fell onto the ringmaster?
A rather simple crime. Even if you were stuck in a wheelchair, it would be incredibly easy to commit. How could you possibly wheel a wheelchair with something so heavy? It's impossible. Well, Acro is an acrobat. He should have more than enough upper body strength to carry something like that, like the bust. You also could just have it in your lap while you move the wheelchair. I don't know what the point of that argument was, to be honest with you. It's not like he has to be holding it in the air while he's wheeling himself.
Mr. Dingling, how do you respond to these charges?
Well, Acro's at a loss for words. He should be. He knows that I'm getting close to the truth. He's probably a little upset anyone would even consider this. I'd watch what I say if I were you, Mr. Phoenix Wright. What? Your Honor, the physical health of the witness is material to this case. I demand that we get proper testimony from the witness himself.
Testimony, you say?
Von Karma. She's just using this testimony as a ruse to stall for time. There's absolutely no need for such testimony. The defense has its version of the murder, the prosecution has the right to respond.
The defense's objection is overruled.
Why can't he see things my way for once in a while?
Mr. Dingling, I'm sorry, but I need you to testify about your physical condition. If you have any doubts about your ability to testify, we can request expert testimony.
The witness will have no problems. However, let's be respectful to him. Thank you. That woman will sink to any low to win a case. I suppose I could have lifted something the size of that bust. I have a strong upper body from working as an acrobat, and only my legs were injured. However, lifting the bust and looking out of the window would have been impossible. There is no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. That makes it impossible for me to have known the location of the ringmaster's head. Thus, it would be unrealistic for me to drop the bust on him, don't you think? Right, but what if you lured him to a specific spot?
I have no doubts in regards to this witness's testimony.
It was impossible for him to lift the bust and stick himself out far enough to look. Not to mention that he could not have known the location of the ringmaster's head. A single false step would have led to even more severe injuries.
That's what I was thinking. What's your opinion on the matter, Mr. Wright?
I'd like to proceed with my cross-examination. He is simply stalling. It's shameful, really. Grr. Alright, I don't think I could just present what I want to. I think I'll need to press. Makes it impossible. This is what I want to point out on. Why do you say it would have been impossible? Allow me to explain. You accept that if I was carrying the bust, I couldn't see out below the window. Thus, there's no way that I would know the location of the ringmaster's head. Well, I suppose you've got a point. Hey, Nick, huh? What if you turn things around? Maybe if you think it's sort of like this. If he knew the location of the ringmaster's head, then he could drop the bust. That does make sense, if only I could prove it somehow. That Acro knew the location of the ringmaster's head without looking down. Or maybe I do just present on that? I think I've already explained things sufficiently. Alright. But, you see, he knew where the head was because of this chest. Okay, I wasn't convinced that it was going to accept that way to get there. Acro, you didn't really need to lean out of the window, did you? What are you driving at, Mr. Wright? You already knew ahead of time where the ringmaster's head was going to be. Quite precisely, I may add. Your silly hinting at things is pointless, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Enough stalling, how about you show us some evidence? But I did such a good job hinting.
Yes. Hurry up and explain things, Mr. Wright.
Maybe you should take a look at this. The key point here is this, the wooden box.
The same wooden box that the victim was found hunched over?
The same. The question is, who placed the wooden box here? Who? When Ben and company saw the ringmaster, they didn't see him holding the box. Which means that this wooden box was already placed at the scene of the crime.
I have to admit that your theory makes a lot of sense.
The moment that the bust came falling down was exactly the same moment that the ringmaster lifted up this wooden box. Which means that the answer to all these questions is now crystal clear. You mean...
If the bust were to fall upon the point marked out by the wooden box,
there would be no way that it could miss the head of the victim. No.
Order, order, order. This is unbelievable.
Finally, some of these loose ends are starting to tie themselves up. Now I just gotta keep going, and there's only one way to go from here. Forward.
So the next question I have is, who placed that wooden box at the scene?
It was Mr. Dingling, of course. He connected it to a rope, and then all he had to do was lower it down.
Ow.
Allow me to whip some sense into you. Mr. Phoenix Wright.
Ow, ow, ow.
The ringmaster's head could have been anywhere when he lifted the box. That's why the box was so specially made. Specially made? Indeed. It had the most peculiar feature. The weight of the box. The box has a remarkable weight. Weight?
According to the court record, it weighs 20 pounds.
Just to lift this wooden box would have required...
Oh, I see. One would have to squat down, then lift up with their body, wouldn't you say?
That's exactly what I was trying to point out. The box is also very large.
The box also has carrying handles on either side, doesn't it?
That's correct. To lift up the box, you'd have to squat down. Which means that no matter who you are, your head would be in approximately the same place. I have to admit that this is one of the things that bothers me a lot about this case. It seems so implausible that this could have happened like this, even with all the steps to it laid out. And that's without getting to the most egregious part, which is yet to come. Fool! Because, of course, we still have to explain the cape. Does he even bother to listen to me anymore? I've heard what you've had to say. I must admit I'm shocked at your imaginative skills.
You did do it? Did you place this wooden box in the plaza?
Mr. Wright may have a vivid imagination, but I could never have done what he's proposing. What? Mr. Wright, do you recall the original location of Max's bust? I remember. Of course I remember. It was on the top of the table in the cafeteria.
Then what happened to it?
I'd like you to remember one important fact, Mr. Wright. I could not possibly leave the lodging house by myself. Ah, that means... You understand what I mean, don't you? I may very well have been able to drop the bust from my room. However, how would I have gotten the bust from the cafeteria to my room? You see, Mr. Phoenix Wright, explain that. Don't forget, you said, there was no accomplice.
Yeah.
Tell us exactly how the witness would have carried the bust from the cafeteria. Yep, we definitely have a problem here. But this is no place to get perplexed. I've got to get my wits about me and prove how things happened once and for all. Let's hear your explanation.
How did the witness get the bust from the cafeteria back to his room?
He used a monkey.
A monkey?
Everyone... I'd forgotten about this part. I forgot about the monkey. Everyone knows money. He loves shiny objects of any size.
Oh, like when he stole the ventriloquist's ring.
So, are you saying the witness had a monkey steal the bust? Of course he didn't order the monkey to steal it. The monkey stole it on his own, and then brought it back home.
Home?
Money lives in Acro's room.
Acro's room?
But the bust was bronze, wasn't it? Bronze isn't all that shiny. Maybe you should look at the... Maybe you should put the whip down sometimes and read the court record.
My, those are some very nice cards he's holding.
Yep, and they are made of platinum, which is very shiny.
Gah!
Acro. Money is a strong monkey, right? It'd be easy for him to bring the bust back to your room. If he wasn't able to handle that himself, I'd be in the market for a new roommate.
Order. I said order, Miss Von Karma. Where is the bust in question at this moment?
I don't know. We're searching for it as we speak.
This is a rather strange turn of events. But let's say that the money had not stolen the bust. What would have happened then?
Well, in that event, something else would have been used as the murder weapon. Wait. Then you mean this bust was the murder weapon purely by accident? It's possible. Maybe Acro saw Money's mountain of stolen goods and thought to use one of them. Anyways, I think we've more than proven one critical fact. Namely that it was entirely possible that Acro was the murderer.
Moron!
Mr. Wright's argument was so circular I'm still a bit dizzy. However, his argument does hold water. There's no denying that.
Ow! Don't seem so flamboozled, especially by this fraud of an attorney. Fraud? You've forgotten the absolute most important thing, Mr. Phoenix Wright. And what is that? You should know. You forgot that your fraud of a magical client was spotted at the scene of the crime. What? Why are you shocked about this? This is an easy layup at this point. Something that looks like Max was there. There's no reason to doubt the clown's testimony.
That's true. How do you respond to that, Mr. Wright?
A statue that looks like Max was there. Nick, don't let her beat you now. I won't. This is my chance to turn this trial around. When the murder occurred, there were two people at the scene of the crime. One was the victim, Russell Berry, and the other was the murderer himself. Answer this and only this, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Who was the murderer the clown saw? It was the bust. No, whoops. Evidence. It was the bust. He saw Max's butt. Ow! I asked who the other person Mo saw on the scene. That evidence has nothing to do with the question. You're fucking stupid. Au contraire, mon frère. It does indeed have something to do with the question. Mo said he saw Max's silhouette. But he did not actually see the man himself. It wasn't a human being he saw.
How is that possible?
It's simple, really. What Mo saw that night was actually Max's bust. What are you talking about? Have you tried using your brain at all in this case? The silhouette he saw was wearing a cloak. There's no reason why you can't attach a cloak to the bust. It would be easy to hang one off the cards in the bust's hands. Idiot! Who in their right mind would put a cloak on a bust? It doesn't matter who put it on the bust.
Just wait a minute now, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust? That question is of the utmost importance to this case, don't you agree?
Oh, he caught me.
So let's have it, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust?
Alright, I know the answer, and it's gonna look so fucking stupid when I present this, but I swear to God, this is true information. It was Russell Berry. Fool! Him?
You are saying it was the victim himself, Russell Berry?
That's what I'm saying. The victim himself placed the cloak on the bust. Placed the cloak isn't really the right way of putting it. This is the part that bothers me the most. Get ready.
Then what would it be the right way of putting it, Mr. Wright?
Explain yourself. Nick, do you really have a handle on all of this? I'm fine, Maya. I'm finally putting all the pieces together. There's really only one picture I can paint anyways. Alright. So you want to know what really happened that night? Let's step back in time. Please enter my time machine. Acro used a rope to lower the wooden box onto the scene. Then he attached that rope to the bust, and dangled the bust out of his bedroom window directly above the wooden box. At the same time, the ringmaster told Max to wait in his room and went to the scene. Of course, at the time, the ringmaster was wearing Max's costume. Perhaps he didn't want anyone to recognize him that night. But just as he feared, he was spotted at the entrance of the lodging house. by none other than a ventriloquist and his puppet, Ben and Trillo. I like how we include Trillo as if he's a separate witness. When the ringmaster arrived at the scene, he bent over to lift the wooden box. And that's when Acro took his chance and released the rope. Now this is when the magic happens. At the very instant the bust hit, prepare yourself. You just wait a second there, Mr. Phoenix Wright. As much as you try, as much as you scheme, this just isn't true. It can't be. It's still a little early to be getting so upset, Miss Von Karma. This circus isn't over yet. What? The impact of the bust on the victim threw the cloak up, which snagged onto the bust. That impact also caused the sound a certain witness heard, prompting him to take a look. The witness was, of course, Lawrence Moe Curls, the clown. When Moe looked out his window, the cloak had already snagged onto the bust. Now, having completed the crime, Acro naturally went about pulling up the murder weapon. Of course, he had no idea Moe saw the bust being raised with the cloak dangling on it. Primarily because, in his wheelchair, he couldn't see out of the window, so he just kept pulling the bust up. And that is how the magical murderer disappearing into the sky came to be. Yeah. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So you see, the only person who could have pulled this off is the person who was able to drop the murder weapon from above the crime scene. Acro, it could only have been you. Acro's been playing mind games with all of us. He sure has. But he has come to the end of his rope now. So, what now? You've graced us with a rather long-winded tale. But do you have any evidence to prove your fairy tale is true? Evidence? In this court, only two things matter. The power of evidence and the power of my whip.
Don't forget the power of my gavel as well. Mr. Wright, the prosecution brings up a good point. Can we see some evidence?
Nick, they say they want evidence. I just explained how there can only be one possible murder method. But there's still something unusual about Moe's eyewitness account. Unusual? A contradiction, actually. Okay, then use that and get us out of this jam.
That's enough talking amongst yourselves. Proceed, Mr. Wright. Present some evidence to the court that backs your claims. I want hard proof that you have unraveled the trick to this magic case.
To be honest, I don't know what you want from me right now. Like, that's such a vague and open-ended question. It's like, I'm not actually sure how you approach this question. The note? What did Moe say that was a contradiction? Because all Moe really said was that he looked out the window and saw what he saw. Which was true. I'm just going to present the note, because the logic I want to use is that I can point out what his motive is. Not that, huh?
Try again.
Fair enough. What else was unusual about the eyewitness account? Ah. The silk hat? 'Cause we need to explain how there were two hats. The fact that there were two hats proves that it must have been the bust that killed him. Because we know there's only one of this hat, and yet Mo saw it flying away with the hat. So if we have this hat, it can only have been the bust's hat that he saw. The problem is Max's three symbols. You know, the silk hat, the cloak, and the white roses.
Well, symbols were a problem numerous times during yesterday's proceedings.
Remember to stay hydrated real quick. Yesterday, there were two contradictions in Mo's testimony. The silk hat was one, the white roses were the other. But the theory I just presented explains all of these contradictions. You fool! Do you ever shut up? Max's silk hat was found at the scene of the crime. However, remember what Mo said yesterday. He testified the criminal he saw fleeing the scene was wearing a silk hat. There's only one explanation for that. The silk hat Mo saw was actually the bust's.
Makes sense. If you look at it that way, then he did have the silk hat. Well, sort of.
Fine, you've got one, but what about the other contradiction?
The other contradiction?
Remember what that ventriloquist said in court. He said that he witnessed white roses on Max's chest that night. But the clown's testimony doesn't match. The clown said that there were no white roses. I'd like to see you try and explain that one away. Can you do it, Nick? Of course, I can explain all of it. What was that? Please recall the incident when the cloak snagged on the bust. If the cloak snagged onto the bust, what happened to the white roses? You know, let's just make another pretty wild speculation. Do you get it yet? If the cloak snagged onto the front of the bust, it means that the white roses would end up on the back of the bust. Ah! Which explains why Mo didn't see them. The white roses were not visible because they were on the back side of the bust.
Order, order! Well, this is quite the shocking state of affairs. Mr. Wright's theory still sounds a bit absurd to me. However, let's just keep going down this road for a while and see where it leads. Let's do this, Nick. Then maybe Von Karma will finally throw in the towel. Well, so much for that theory. Mr. Wright, do you mind? What is it? You took the time to research our circus, didn't you? Well, yes, I did. Is there something making you think that I didn't? If you did, then maybe you'll understand why I think you're off track. Why's that? Motive. This witness feels an incredible debt of gratitude toward the ringmaster. Anyone with any relation to the circus is well aware of this. He didn't know it was the ringmaster he killed. We've already established he couldn't see out the window. He didn't know it was the ringmaster that was down there. He thought it was Regina. Easy. Case closed. Thus, there's absolutely no way someone like this would kill the ringmaster. He didn't know. He didn't realize it was the ringmaster. We spent a long time establishing he couldn't see out of the window. Your Honor, I'd like you to hear Acro's story. Learn about his relationship with the ringmaster and his life up until now. What do? There's no doubting Acro deeply respected the ringmaster. Acro's motive. It seems this case isn't over yet. Very well, however, I feel this is a good place to take a break. I will listen to the rest of Mr. Dingling's testimony after recess. This court will now take a 10-minute recess.
Easy. No need. I could finish this in 3 presents if you would let me. If you would just give me 3 present options, I could do it. But no, we must endure another, 3 hours of the case. Well, another hour of the case. I can't believe it. Acro? It's pretty shocking, isn't it? It definitely is. And to think he was always the most straightforward of the group. Jeebus, am I that hated? Acro tried to pin the murder on you on purpose.
He did.
Psst, psst, cough.
But I'm nothing but a little old nobody, you know.
But you're not, which is kind of the reason why. Cough. Hey, pal. You're gonna ignore me after I went all this trouble to bring you some evidence? Detective Gumshoe. Forget it. I'm going home. This guy deserves to be guilty anyways. You're right, but... Now, Detective, I'm sorry. Look, why don't you relax a little? We've got some really tasty milk. How about a card trick, Detective? Oh, well, if you insist. Now, about that evidence you mentioned, what is it? Here you go. Huh? This was yesterday in Acro's room. Yep, and I've included the forensic results. Take a look at it later. Won't Miss Von Karma be mad you're doing this? That's why this is all a secret. Huh? Look, details are on a need-to-know basis, and we're not really allies or anything. But everything that's happened in court up till now has gone according to our plan. I don't know. Miss Von Karma didn't seem in control of things just now. You'll figure it out eventually, pal. Yesterday, our final plans were set into motion. Final plans? Uh-huh. That reminds me, I got a message from the prosecutor for you. Nothing is ever truly decided until the very end. That's it, and that's it for me too, pal. I'm out of here. What did he mean by that? The very end part? I'm not sure. It was all pretty cryptic to me. Oh, one more thing. Don't scare me like that. It looks like there's a large care package from the circus for the defendant. What? For me? It's milk. The reception area looks like some kind of dairy. So, hurry up and drink all of it before it spoils.
An entire dairy's worth of milk? For me? Court is now back in session. Miss Von Karma, please continue from where you left off.
I'd like to continue with Acro's testimony, starting with his relationship to the victim. I'd also like to get proof from the defense. Proof of what kind of motive Acro would have had to commit this crime.
Understood. Now, Mr. Dingling.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed with your testimony.
Finally, we get to the motive. Wait, Nick, are you okay? Just do me a favor and don't ask questions you don't want the answer to. No, this is free. This is easy. When we were little, we were abandoned by our parents. That's when the ringmaster of the Berry Big Circus, Russell Berry, took us in. I became an acrobat at around 9 years old. I wanted to find a way to repay the ringmaster. That was my sole purpose in life.
You're such a thoughtful young man.
As you heard, the witness deeply respected the victim. I wonder how anyone could think Acro would kill the man he held in such esteem.
You are absolutely right. How could anyone think that, Mr. Wright? Which is why there's no real need for cross-examination, is there?
Actually, that's the question I'm trying to answer myself. Why would Acro kill the ringmaster? This might be my last chance to answer that question. I mean, I don't see any reason to question him if I'm being honest with you. All of that was in fact true. No need? I might get got for this, but I just don't... Like, that was all true. What am I gonna point at? Oh no, you didn't actually like him. No, you did. You just didn't know you were killing him.
What's this?
Why was the ringmaster murdered? There's no need to delve into that bit of testimony when I already know the answer.
Mr. Wright, I'd like to ask you a question.
Go ahead, Your Honor.
I would just like to know, can you provide an explanation as to why Acro would want the ringmaster dead?
No. Actually, because he didn't want the ringmaster dead. He wanted to kill Regina. So, no.
Nick?
Yeah, I didn't even have to think about it. It was obvious from the start. Your Honor, the reason Acro killed the Ringmaster is something that can't be proven.
What?
That's because Acro had no reason to kill the Ringmaster at all.
Ow!
Your foolish attempts to fool us like foolish fools is so foolhardily foolish. Did you forget you made an accusation against this witness, did you not? I believe it was this is the real killer of Russell Berry, Ringmaster. If you want to jump to the end of things, then yes, that sounds about right.
The end of things?
Acro. You didn't plan to kill the Ringmaster at all, did you? The Ringmaster wasn't your target that night. What did you just say? I'm saying the target of this witness's murderous's plot was not the Ringmaster. Because it was never his intention to kill Russell Berry to begin with. What?
Order, order. Bailiff, I don't care who it is, smack anyone who's loud in the face twice if you must. Mr. Wright, what in the world are you trying to do in my court? Ow!
Mr. Phoenix Wright, what in the world are you trying to do to his court? Are you attempting to imply that Acro was trying to kill someone else? That's precisely what I'm implying, brother. Regina Berry?
This young girl is the Ringmaster's daughter, correct?
Acro, you were really aiming for her that night, weren't you? You don't need to answer that. It's a mean-spirited leading question. He could easily answer this question. If I'm wrong, all he has to say is, you're wrong. That's it. That's it, huh, Mr. Phoenix Wright?
Enough. Mr. Wright, allow me to. Ow!
The only thing allowed to interrupt me is death itself.
Huh?
And that goes for you too, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Show me evidence, now! I want to know why Acro would want to kill Regina Berry.
Yes, me too. I demand to see some proof.
It's the note. Observe, behold. Acro, you remember this, don't you? It's a piece of paper we found inside the Ringmaster's tailcoat.
Inside the victim's tailcoat?
Acro wrote this note. It's ironically entitled To the Murderer. Its purpose was to call someone to the plaza at 10 p.m.
So you're saying he killed Russell Berry with that note?
Yes, he had the death note. Yes, but there's just one little problem.
Problem?
Acro did indeed place this note into someone's pocket. However, that someone was not the Ringmaster. You mean it wasn't for the... That's exactly what I mean. The person this note was intended for was none other than Regina Berry.
Order, order, order. Mr. Wright, this little theory of yours.
It's the truth, Your Honor. It isn't a theory. Simply put, Regina didn't think the note was meant for her, which is why, the morning of the crime, she placed it on the cafeteria bulletin board. That's when her father, the Ringmaster, saw the note. That's correct. The Ringmaster ended up in the plaza that night instead of Regina. And he was killed because of that mistake, instead of Regina.
That's incredible.
Remember the testimony Acro gave us earlier today? Lifting the bus and looking out of the window would have been impossible. There's no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. If I were to do that, I'd end up falling out the window myself. Acro had no idea who it was that arrived in the plaza, because he couldn't look down out of his window to see who it actually was.
I've got it. I got it. Acro thought it was Regina down in the plaza.
And that's when he let the bust fly. Hey, Nick. Isn't Regina listening to all this from the audience? Yeah. She is. Unfortunately, it's only going to get harsher from here. I hope Regina can handle it.
Acro wrote this note to Regina?
Foolishly, foolish fool, with foolishly Foolish fool ideas. You're so foolish. You've even made me sound like a foolhardy fool. Very well, Mr. Phoenix Wright. If you're so sure, then tell us about this line. I have conclusive evidence of what took place. Yes, what about that line? Well, if the note was meant for Regina Berry, it would mean that. This note is declaring Regina Berry as a murderer. You just don't get it, do you? What did you just say? The ringmaster knew what that note meant, which is why he went to the plaza, in place of his lovely daughter.
Hold it right there, Mr. Wright. What is this incident that is alluding to in the note?
The incident 6 months ago. I know all about it. An incident occurred 6 months ago, and now I am more than ready to show this court what happened at that time. Moron.
Wait, are you sure that it relates to the present case?
It does indeed, Your Honor. Everything in this case has its start in what happened 6 months ago. Really, Nick? I think so. Well then, if that's the case, hurry up and tell us about it. What is this conclusive evidence mentioned in the note? I'd certainly like to know what it is. If I can't answer that question, the judge is going to think I'm bluffing. The conclusive evidence is this small seasoning bottle of pepper.
Achoo! 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 Achoo!
What kind of spicy joke is this, Mr. Phoenix Wright? It isn't a joke at all. It's the decisive evidence you asked for.
Well, what do you mean?
Recall that the victim was trying to take the wooden box away with him. He was doing so because this piece of decisive evidence is what was inside.
Another unbelievable conclusion. Very well, Mr. Wright, so what exactly are you saying? Are you claiming Regina Berry killed someone with a small bottle of pepper?
Taking the note into account, that's the only logical conclusion you can draw. Foolish fool who never tires of his own foolish ways. If you're so sure, Phoenix Wright, then answer this question. Who was Regina Berry's intended victim? Bat.
Who is this?
That is Acro's younger brother. What does this prove? His younger brother isn't dead. Technically, that's true. However, Bat has been in a coma for 6 months now. It's not a stretch to see how Acro could feel that his brother is dead.
Regina? She did that to him?
Do you spend your entire life dreaming up new ways to be a fool? Naturally, the prosecution has looked into Acro's brother, Sean Dingaling. 6 months ago, he was bit by a lion and fell into his current comatose state.
A lion?
Miss Regina Berry, is an animal tamer by trade. However, no tamed animal in that position is ever trained to attack another human. They wouldn't understand the command. Moreover, Miss Regina could never do that to someone like that. It's just not in her. Yeah, she didn't mean to. It wasn't actually intentional. So then, what happened to Acro's brother? He's not the victim of an attempted murder, he's the victim of an accident.
I see.
Now what do we do? No one seems to be going along with your theory. Do you think what happened to Bat was actually an accident? It was just an accident, yes. I suppose it was truly an accident. It's essential that a man knows when to give up, Mr. Phoenix Wright.
It's impossible to prove Miss Berry's involvement in a murder attempt, isn't it?
Ha! Instigating a lion to attack. Who would ever think of something like that? And to think the defense claimed this was conclusive evidence. No. It still wasn't intentional. Remember how they talked about teasing people with pepper? A small bottle of pepper. A lion. What's their connection? Ah! What's the matter, Nick? I figured it out. Wow, it was right in front of my nose the entire time. Your Honor, wait.
What is it?
The lion-biting lion was no accident. Lion-biting bat was no accident at all.
What?
You're such an amateur, Mr. Phoenix Wright. There's no way that Regina could ever incite her lion to attack another human being. She may not have incited the lion to attack, but another human being. another human being, but Regina is responsible for making the lion bite Acro's brother, Bat. Observe the scarf.
That's just a scarf.
Acro. This scarf is something Bat used to wear, correct? That's right. And who is the one that gave this scarf to Bat? Regina. Regina gave it to him.
Regina?
There's something more than just blood on this scarf, Your Honor.
And what might that be?
Pepper.
Pepper?
Pepper. Regina gave this scarf to Bat right before the accident, and she covered it with as much pepper as she could. Hey, what's with the silent treatment?
Excuse me, Mr. Wright. You've done a good job of fingering a criminal. But out of curiosity,
Don't say it like that.
what was her crime? Miss Berry gave a pepper-covered scarf to Bat as a present. Where's the crime in that?
It still seems like the judge doesn't get it. But someone does. Mr. Phoenix Wright. Wasn't it said that the lion seemed to be smiling?
Smiling? The lion was smiling?
Right before Bat was bit by the lion. For a moment the lion's mouth changed and it looked like he was smiling.
Lions smile?
I've never heard of them smiling. However, lions sneeze. Leon wasn't trying to bite Bat at all. In reality, all he actually did was sneeze. He sneezed because of all the pepper on the scarf.
What? You fool! You've got to be kidding me. What's the matter, Miss Von Karma?
I object. For objection's sake. Like brother, like sister. I was hoping to come up with something while I was objecting, Your Honor. Mr. Phoenix Wright, this theory, you believe it? You really intend to say this is how this joke of an accident actually happened? Of course I do. It's the truth. The lion sneezed due to the pepper, and that's when Bat lost consciousness. Acro nearly lost his brother due to this accident, or this joke, as you put it. Which is why he tried to get his revenge against Regina. You foolish idiot. It almost does seem like a terrible joke, doesn't it? Once again, I'm impressed by your imagination, Mr. Wright. To think that there's someone who treats this accident with the respect it deserves. Are you telling me that what I said was true? Acro? You don't mean, you can't mean, witness.
Are you confirming the defense's claim?
Mr. Wright, unfortunately your imagination is not enough to find me guilty of murder. What do you mean by that? The pepper, the scarf, the lion. I see where you're going, but it's a bit hard to swallow. Not to mention the fact there's an even bigger problem with your theory.
What would that problem be?
The same problem it's always been, evidence. If I drop Max's bust on top of the ringmaster, where's the evidence that proves that claim?
You mean the conclusive evidence?
The biggest problem is the murder weapon, or the lack thereof to be more precise. The murder weapon?
The bust that the defense claims was used. If that were to be found in Acro's room, and if it was covered with the victim's blood, that would be awfully conclusive in my eyes.
Yes, it would be. The bust. Nick, you've got to do something. This is the last step. If I get this one right, the case is won. Request to search Acro's room. Defense requests the search of the witness, Ken Dingaling. What is it now? It looks like you still haven't figured things out, have you? By now you must know the meaning of von Karma total justice.
You mean...
Von Karma never leaves anything to chance. We already searched Acro's room yesterday. Yeah, the bust isn't there, but I can tell you where it is.
What did you find?
There's no reason to even say it. If we found what you think we found in that room, Acro would not be here as a witness. But to put a point on it, Max's bust was not in the room. The murder weapon is still unaccounted for. You see, Mr. Wright? The bust wasn't in my room. Furthermore, Detective Dick Gumshoe executed the search by complete surprise. And we took Acro directly to the prosecutor's office after that. End of story. Just wait a second, something's funny about all this. It looks like you lacked the final nail to put into my coffin. But, what about the scarf? What about the note? What about them, Mr. Wright? No offense, but the only evidence that is relevant here is that which pertains to the death of the ringmaster. You should know that by now. Ah! Do something, Nick. Don't let this case slip away. The bust, where is it now? Where's the bust right now? You're Phoenix Wright, you must know where that bust is. I'm sure you do. There's not even a single clue. How am I supposed to know where the bust is? I know where the bust is.
It seems this case is coming to a close. The defense's counter-argument looks to have fallen short.
No, let me tell you where the bust is. Thank you for your support.
Ah.
I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Wright.
I think that brings an end to this cross-examination of this witness.
Where is Max's bust? The defense needs time to prepare to present its case. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous and I just bit my tongue. Huh? What? We need to do...
What? Ow! Why are you the most surprised person here? She's your aide, isn't she?
Do you really have a case to present, Mr. Wright?
What? Are you asking me? The rest's up to you, Nick. Good luck. Hey, wait, you can't be serious. Acrobats always have their lives on the line, don't they? That's how Acro's lived his life up till now. Now it's time for us to walk across our own tightrope. If we don't, we're certain to lose.
Very well. The defense may proceed.
He doesn't have a clue, and I don't think he'll be finding one anytime soon. Walking the tightrope of logic, there's no room for a false step. Sink or swim, the only way through is forward. The murder weapon. Where's Max's bust now? It's in this very room. It's obvious. The bust is inside this very courtroom.
It's obviously where?
Allow me to point to the location of the bust once and for all. It's on the witness stand. Acro, I'm sorry to ask this, but do you mind if I take the blanket off of your wheelchair? I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you, Mr. Wright. Well, you're a big guy, and you have a pretty big wheelchair because of it. I just wanted to make sure you weren't hiding anything under the blanket. Because it seems to me that it'd be really easy to say, hide a bust under there. Once again, your penchant for humor hits me where it hurts, Mr. Wright. I think it's pretty amazing you can laugh in your position. However, your lightheartedness doesn't change the fact the bust is under there. We all know you can't leave the lodging house by yourself in your condition. That proved inconvenient when Miss Von Karma happened to search your room yesterday. If she'd found the murder weapon in your room, it would have been all over. Which is why you had to hide it, in the only place you could hide it. Under your wheelchair. Which is why, Acro, I have to ask you again. Would you please remove your blanket from your lap? Well done, Mr. Wright. Masterfully played.
You fool! How could you?
You've got me. I've been bagged by a real pro. Actually, two of them. Two of them? Miss Franziska von Karma and Mr. Phoenix Wright.
What?
There's just one thing I'd like to know. How did you know to launch the surprise search on my room last night? There were two pieces of decisive evidence, the cloak and the bust. I burned the cloak in my room and threw the ashes away with the trash. Regina always took my trash out every morning, you know. But the bust, obviously I couldn't throw that away. When you executed your search, all I could do was try and hide the bust. And the only place I could hide it quickly was under this wheelchair. Miss Von Karma, you had things all figured out, didn't you? I was completely sucked in by your calculated strategy. And now to be caught in the middle of court hiding the murder weapon. There's no way I can escape that. So you've got me. Well done, Mr. Wright. Well done, Miss Von Karma.
It all makes sense now.
Pretty sure Acro's the only defendant, or witness rather, that doesn't have like a meltdown of any sort. Just like, you're right. Yeah. I can't believe Von Karma thought that ahead. It's amazing. Uh-huh. You definitely couldn't tell by looking at her. I know I sure couldn't. Yeah, ma'am. That looks like someone who just executed a masterful strategy to me.
I can't believe it. Me make a mistake. Why did I order a surprise search of your room? If only I hadn't done that.
It seems we have finally arrived at the truth.
Note how she's angry that they found. She's angry that we ended up finding the actual murderer because of that.
Acro.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you kill the ringmaster of the Berry Big Circus, Mr. Russell Berry?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm responsible for that crime. Acro. All my brother wanted was for Regina to like him. That's why he'd tease her. One day my brother sprinkled some pepper on Regina. She started sneezing so hard, you couldn't help yourself from laughing. That's why Regina thought it'd be funny to get him back in the same way. And that's why she covered the scarf with pepper. I know she didn't mean for anything bad to happen. I know this. She just wanted to make my brother sneeze a few times, too. But I just couldn't forgive her, no matter what. What am I truly guilty of? I'm guilty of never, ever being able to understand her. Your brother became a star. Regina believes in that so purely. That she would laugh innocently when saying it. Too innocently. I just couldn't stand it, no matter how hard I tried. That's when you decided to do something about Regina. How dreadful.
So are you saying you were a victim in all of this as well?
No, that's not what I mean. I'm nothing but a murderer. That's who I am. At first I thought I'd kill myself, then I pondered giving myself up. But I couldn't just stand up and leave. I just couldn't. Not yet. That's why I tried to pin this on Max. Max, I'm so sorry. I just couldn't up and leave yet.
This has been such a strange case. It's almost a reflection of the circus itself.
I'm an idiot. I can't believe it. You beat me again.
I believe this case is now beyond any point of possible discussion. Unless I'd like to declare my verdict.
We did it. We saved the city.
Court is adjourned.
Fabulous. But to be honest, I can't really be too happy about this. Acro, the Ringmaster, Regina, and Bat. Not a single one of them was a bad person inside, huh? No. Several of them are, just not, just Pretty much everyone at that circus is an asshole except the clown, you know. That's a good question, and one I don't know the answer to.
Many congrats, but only at max a million of them.
Thank you.
What's with the vibe in this room?
We're just thinking about Acro.
No. If you worry about people too much, then you'll be like this forever and never be happy.
Huh?
She's been like this for a while now.
Wah, it's all my fault. Wah.
Sweetie pie.
Bat and Acro, they're never coming back. Now everyone's gonna split up.
Regina.
Mr. Wright, tell me something.
What do you want to know, Regina?
Acro said something right at the end.
I just couldn't up and leave yet.
Does that mean Acro? Is he gonna try and get his revenge on me?
I don't think so. He's not gonna do that to you, Regina.
Are you sure? You're really sure I can believe that?
Yeah, Acro doesn't have any desire for revenge anymore.
If that's true, then I want to see some evidence. I want to know you're not just making that stuff about Acro not wanting revenge.
Good question. I mean, the only thing I can really think to present is Bat himself? But that's not exactly evidence, is it? But like, what in the actual evidence would I present? No, yeah, because it's about what Acro said at the end, which is that he couldn't up and leave yet, and that's because he's waiting for his brother to wake up. Acro didn't want to get caught for a reason. Whoops. He wanted to see his brother open his eyes again. But Bat? That's right, Regina. He's still alive, you know.
I never knew. But now that Acro's been caught...
Uh-huh. I know. What?
I'll do it. I'll stay next to Bat as long as it takes, until he opens his eyes, and then until he can meet Acro again.
That's so sweet of you, Regina.
I'm sorry, Acro. I'm sorry, Bat.
Well, hopefully this is enough to give her a little peace of mind.
Hey, Max.
What is it, Mo?
We really put you through a lot, didn't we, buddy? I'm sorry about what happened. So whenever you'd like to leave us, I'll pay your fee and rip up the contract.
I understand. What a fabulous thing to do for me. I might even leave tomorrow. What's going to happen to the circus now?
That's the big question. Our ringmaster was really an amazing person, wasn't he? Even though he's not here anymore, everyone's sticking together. The staff, the performers, no one wants to leave the circus. That's why I made a decision.
What is it?
I've decided that I will take over as the new ringmaster. I'll turn this circus into the best circus this world's ever seen.
The best circus the world has ever seen.
Don't laugh.
That's quite the goal. Yay, I can't wait. Well then, I guess that changes things.
Huh?
There's only one thing for the best circus in the world. There's only one thing the best circus the world has ever seen needs. The world's best illusions. Which means this circus needs the best magician the world has ever seen.
Max.
Let's work together and make our circus super fabulous. What do you say, big guy?
I don't know what to say. All I can say is thank you.
Regina. You're gonna help them out too, aren't you?
I don't know.
Maybe the circus would be better off without me.
What are you talking about, Regina? Why do you think I brought you to court today? We gotta work together to make the Very Big Circus bigger than it's ever been.
Mo's right, sweetie pie. It can't be the Berry Big Circus without Regina Berry. Max. Nick. Seems like everything's gonna turn out alright here. I can't wait to see the best circus the world has ever seen. We'll save the most fabulous seats.
It'll take us a while to get ready, but I'm gonna order special whoopee cushion seats.
I see. What made the case? Yesterday's surprise raid. It really paid off, just like you said it would, sir. Oh, you had it all figured out, didn't you? It was just a theory. If Acro really was the killer, I thought this was the only way it could end. Especially if he was a defense attorney. You mean Mr. Wright? Of course. Well, Detective, my plane is about to leave. As for Mr. Acro's case, you need not worry. I plan to personally stop by the Chief Prosecutor's office as soon as I get back. Understood, sir. I'll be waiting for you, Mr. Edgeworth.
Of course he's not dead. You know. He's got two games.
Alright, it's okay. We got through the worst case in the game. Now we're gonna go on to one of, like, the best cases in the series. So, you know, you go low sometimes, you go high sometimes. It's not the best, but it's definitely, like, top 3.